Still getting used to this particular configuration, so please bear with me if I'm not 100% efficient at making these various transformations over here in this software. Thanks for your patience. How is everybody doing? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are in the world. What is up? Yeah, we're getting into more of the habit of doing these things on Fridays. Let me just enlarge myself here for a moment. Yeah, that way I can see. Howdy, everybody. I'm sure most of you guys know who I am, but in case you don't, my name is Dr. Matt Dorsey, Doctor of Acupuncture and Chinese Medicine. I am, of course, CHOQ's Chief Scientific Officer and General Herb Nerd. Just making sure my lighting is good here. Let's just let's dim this down just a tiny bit. It might be a bit excessive. Let's just see what happens if we just kind of let's do some mood lighting here. That's right. I am a professional herbalist. I am not a professional videographer, but I'm doing my best. So, you know, there we have it. Anyway, what is up with everybody? How are you guys doing tonight? Let's take a look at the chat here. Hello, Sam. Hello, Andy. Hello, Hugo. Hello, JJ, Dom, Skylar, Michael, Danny, Andy. Of course, I said a couple of y'all's names multiple times. I'm a little frazzled just because I had, again, technical difficulties, as I usually do, especially since I have this new setup. And at the last minute, I had to switch from my new camera to my old phone camera because my new one decided to work not to work for no reason. So there you have it. But what is the main theme for today? I'm kind of in this new flow where I've been getting back into blogging. And I would like to actually, it's funny watching a delay of yourself over here. I'm watching myself from like 30 seconds ago. But I would really like to go over, you like the intro, Nikki? Yeah. I would like to go over some new blog material. In the habit now of doing weekly blogs again. And I actually have a couple new smaller segments that I've been doing, as well as I'm going to be doing a full-size blog once every 1 to 2 weeks. Maybe you guys saw, I'm sure, if you watched the last one of these, the Cringe Report, which was kind of funny, which is just a way of me sharing some ridiculousness. Typically, it's going to be things that are in the industry. We've been investigating a lot into the mega corporations that own like half the supplements industry, right? And how Nestle owns all these different organizations, supplements companies, And also we talked about before how Onnit was purchased by Unilever, who makes things like Axe body spray. I'm going to take a little departure to do something more timely today. We're going to get back into the whole investigative journalism, which mega corporations own the supplements companies thing, probably next week. But I kind of want to go into some current events right now, because Chocolala says, my grandson says he loves the intro. That's awesome, Chocolala. Thank you for letting me know. That's fantastic. Michael says lots of rain here in Brisbane. But yeah, so I decided to write a blog, and I actually had to really cram a lot of blog writing time in to get it finished, but I wanted it to be finished for this transmission. And let me go ahead and just pull it up right now. Let's see here. Here we go. So let's just take this down here. And then let's put our window capture up here. So, all right. Yeah. So everybody's worried right now about World War III, right? That seems to be the thing. Seems to be the thing to worry about, right? World War III, what's happening with Russia, all this craziness. So, something I've been thinking about a lot lately is the news, and is it actually helpful to be watching the news? So, yesterday I found myself found myself glued to my TV. It's not really a television, it's just a computer hooked up to a projector screen, but glued to the news, right? How many of you guys have been glued to the news? Is this something you're finding has ramped up? You know, one of the things that, as a natural health practitioner and as somebody who's concerned with how to maintain a healthy mind, body, and spirit, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, all of that stuff, in addition to, of course, the physical health, right, is bringing awareness, bringing consciousness to anything that can interrupt any of those areas of health. And I think the news is a big part of that, right? So no matter what your perspective is, now a lot of you guys probably, obviously, I know Chalk Nation, you guys are outside the box thinkers, right? And so you probably, a lot of y'all, I'm assuming, it's fairly likely that perhaps you have some less than mainstream understanding of what might be happening, wink wink, right, regarding right now. And again, that's not my place to comment on that exactly. You know, you got lots of other great resources for that, right? And of course, who knows what's actually happening behind the scenes, but clearly folks like us tend to know that there's probably more than meets the eye, probably more than CNN is telling us, right? But the point here with this, I felt that this was a really important blog to write, to get out, because I want to, for those of y'all who might be stressing out about all this, I wanted to just get something out there as a reminder that the news is a psychotoxin, potentially. It is a form of toxicity. And even if you watched, it doesn't matter who you watch. You could be watching, and we'll get to this in a second, you could be watching CNN, you could be watching Fox, you could be watching Alex Jones, you could be watching, you know, whoever it is, right? Russell Brand. And so regardless of the quality or how mainstream or how, you know, awake your news source is, totally regardless of that, the way that it affects your mind and your adrenal glands and your stress pathways and all of that remains similar. So I wrote this, and of course, as y'all might know, I do the graphics for Chalk as well. So I made this fun little graphic here. Tune out and wake up. Almost sounds a little bit like what Timothy Leary used to say, right? Tune in, turn on, drop out, something like that, right? But anyway, that's what I called the article. I thought this is a fun little graphic. I always have fun doing the graphic design for these blogs. And yeah, so let me just zoom in here a little bit. Let's just go through some of this. All right, here we go. Yeah. And you know, like I was saying, you know, regardless if you think of the news as just regular TV news or logging into, you know, your favorite website that's, you know, much less mainstream, it's still all, at the end of the day, it's kind of all news. And right now, I think it's an incredibly important time to remember to not get too caught up in the chaos and insanity of the world. Because boy, is it crazy. And it just continues to get crazier, you know? There's no indication it's going to get any less crazy in 2022 than it has been for the last couple of years. So perhaps this is also an article you might want to send to some of your friends and family as just a reminder to take breaks from excessive news consumption, right? But yeah, so, you know, we've been battered for 2 years with daily blasts on death counts, lockdowns, mandates, all of that. You know, we're just saturated with bad news. And now we've got this whole worried about, you know, World War III thing. And my point here, no matter where you get your news from, whether it's more mainstream sources like Fox or CNN, or popular YouTube personalities like Russell Brand or Kim Iverson, or the truther people like Alex Jones, Paul Joseph Watson, the danger is the same. So, over-consuming news, especially with what's going on right now, has to do with, or potentially it could waste your time. It chronically activates stress hormones. It perpetuates an addiction to adrenaline, and we'll get quite a bit into the adrenaline connection here and how we require adrenaline to stimulate us a lot of the time, and there is an unconscious addiction sometimes to bad news. Of course, there's this idea that the world is a threatening place and that everything is falling to pieces, which it kind of is, but it also isn't as much as we think. And of course, you know, just sacrificing our mental and spiritual health. Again, there's nothing wrong with staying informed, but it's just good to ask the question, how much does this information actually help me? Is this good for my health? You know what I mean? And I think that we really don't watch the news for the reason we think. That's kind of a big part of this this blog. This will be my central thesis here, right? So we know that adrenaline is the primary stress hormone. That and cortisol are secreted when the fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system, is activated. And I think what's really happening here is that we're getting these bursts of sympathetic activation with every single transmission that we consume of all of these, you know, various articles and videos, news videos, right? So, of course, most of y'all probably know this, but, you know, your fight or flight response, obviously, is to save your life. Humans tend to prioritize negative information. Actually, in general, right? Because of our nervous systems, we actually pay more attention to negative information. This results in the fact that people have a higher demand overall for bad news. So it's not even necessarily, we can't just blame this on, you know, the media outlets or whatever, like, you know, the whole bleeds it leads thing, right? Like, we have a higher demand for bad news. We really do. Because our nervous system associates that with survival. So, for example, seeing a snake somewhere in the woods, right? You're going to have a high priority on remembering and focusing on where that snake was, because you don't want to go back in that same spot in case there's more snakes there, right? That's very, very important, because it has to do with something that could kill you. But yeah, so as y'all probably also know, many of you, but maybe not, this could be reviewed for some of y'all, but the effects physiologically of when this part of your nervous system, sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight response is activated include elevated heart rate, higher blood pressure, more adrenaline, more cortisol, more blood going away from the organs where they could be used for healing and for processing toxins and doing all sorts of things, and into the limbs, faster respiration, increased visual and auditory acuity, so one of the positives of it, and of course a shift away from higher level thinking and into more instinctual processing of the hindbrain or the reptilian brain, right? So, and of course, higher level thinking requires longer periods of time. When you're in a life or death situation, it's important that you have instinctive, immediate, reflex-like behavior. So there's not as much time for the neocortex or the frontal, and also the frontal area, frontal cortex, to process information, because it requires too much higher reasoning, which is too slow. So also, interesting aside here, testosterone and cortisol work really oppositely. And one thing I'm wondering how many of y'all know, a lot of adaptogens that we sell, including Tonkatali and ashwagandha, there's research on them showing that they specifically not only can increase testosterone within normal healthy levels for a male or female, obviously not excessive, and then also decrease cortisol at the same time. And you'll find a lot of studies where they're looking at this testosterone to cortisol ratio. So, but yes, humans are wired to pay way more attention to bad news. There's a video here. Well, actually, that's right. It doesn't like me to show YouTube videos on here, so let's not do that. But yeah, humans are wired to pay a lot more attention to bad news. This is absolutely true. Again, it's prioritized because our brains think that has to do with optimizing survival. Michael says, more excitement than fear. Indeed, yeah. And I see some folks talking about how it's scripted. Indeed, it very well might be. Showing literal video game footage and passing it off as live fire. Like, yeah. Who knows? Things are getting very weird. Deep fakes are getting better, right? And so in the future, when different sides go to war, they could be using their own completely CGI-based deep fake to show what's happening to their different populations, to convince them that something is happening other than what's actually happening. I mean, God only knows. So things are getting very weird. This is true. But yeah, so I think that the bigger topic here is adrenaline addiction, though. I'm addicted to adrenaline. You're addicted to adrenaline. Really, pretty much everybody is to some extent. We need it to get going, I mean, just even drinking coffee. Not that coffee is the worst thing in the world, but coffee boosts adrenaline. And of course, dopamine and other molecules as well. And there's nothing wrong with having extra of that when you need it. But I think that one of the reasons that we're drawn to this, and I'll speak from personal experience the other day, again, I have a setup here where I have my living room has a nice big projector in it, and so I'll put different trustworthy news sources on, and they'll be talking about the war with Ukraine, and I was finding that I was wanting to watch endlessly, and have it on the background, and there's this weird stimulating kind of like addictive quality to this like, oh my God, what's going to happen? World War III, and I was just thinking like, wow. This is really not particularly helpful, and that was my main motivation in writing this blog was like, let's investigate that. Let's think about why that is, why we tend to be glued to this, and what it is that we're getting out of it, or we think we're getting out of it, and bringing more awareness to it could perhaps make us a bit more informed in terms of making better decisions about how we want to spend our time. So, this video, which I won't watch right now because, again, watching YouTube videos through live YouTube streaming typically does not go well. But I do have this video embedded right here in the blog. It's from NBC News, super mainstream. It's 2.5 minutes long. What's hilarious about it, though, is that the title is Watching Bad News Can Be Good for Your Brain. Okay? Right? Watching bad news can be good for your brain. And if you actually watch it, 95% of it is talking about how watching bad news is just generally bad for you, how it's associated with depression and PTSD and anxiety, and and how it boosts adrenaline and all these things. And then there's like one line in there that says like, it might help you learn about dangerous situations. It's like, what? So literally, like, the title is completely wrong. It's almost sort of Orwellian. Like the content of the video is all about how watching bad news is a bad thing. But because it's from NBC News and they want you to keep watching the news, they put a title on it that's literally the opposite of the content. Very, very strange. Kind of hilarious anyway. But yeah, so... and again, as far as trustworthy news sources, I see somebody asking here in the chat, my place isn't really to tell y'all which news sources you should go to. I know some of you guys are going to probably go to, Alex Jones or Paul Joseph Watson, more on that sort of thing. And, other folks might check out maybe slightly more mainstream. Who knows, right? Whatever you guys are into. I don't want to tell you exactly where you should get your news from. I really like Russell Brand, actually. He puts out at least 1 or 2 videos a day. His stuff is fantastic. I think it's really on point. Russell Brand is great at showing, if there's one thing he's great at, it's showing extreme levels of corruption. And he's done a great job, I think, of talking about surveillance, the surveillance state and what's going on with that. But again, I won't tell you too much about where I think you should go for your news because I'm sure that's going to be different from person to person. So I'll just give you a couple little nuggets there. But the last part of this blog I think is the most important part. And of course, I just use this as a sort of a jumping off point for various different blogs I've written in the past. If if you wanted to perhaps contemplate, hey, what can I spend my time doing instead of watching too much news? These are some things that I think might be inspiring in some way. And not just in terms of activities, especially these first two are more activity based, but also just in terms of a better vibe, the vibration that we get onto when we're hyper fixated on impending war, possible world war, right? Or focusing on the pandemic or plandemic or whatever you think of it, regardless of your opinion on the topic, just focusing on these topics is so damned heavy. And also, it's an opportunity for us to over-identify with our positions on things, to really excessively identify with these are my beliefs about this particular world topic, right? And when we do that, we open ourselves up to then more division. And actually, I'll skip to this one right here. This one I wrote called The Virus of Divisiveness. This is a fun one I wrote a while back. So basically, I wrote this about the idea here is that there's basically a virus of divisiveness, right? That we are being split into different camps, different groups, and that really what's happening is there's a virus of the mind I call the divisive virus, and that it replicates within the psyche, and that through excessive social media use and social media addiction, it tends to reinforce this us versus them polarized mentality, right? So this, I think, is a really important one, this virus of divisiveness one right here. Limbic hijacking, too, I talk about that in this article. It relates a whole hell of a lot to what we were talking about before about adrenaline addiction, because the limbic system, this has to do with the activation of fight or flight. So that's a good one. And again, if this is review for all you guys, though, if this is, if you have any friends or family who you think would benefit from this, or maybe overdoing the news and would also like some resources on how to lead a healthier lifestyle, maybe send them this article, But yeah, first one here, for any of y'all who haven't read my meditation article, this is a good one. Meditation is an essential tool to survive modern life. Admittedly, I don't meditate as often as I could, but I do more than the average person, I would say, quite a bit. My favorite, of course, my special, the CHOQTOR special, is that I like to meditate after needling myself, which obviously isn't something y'all can do, since I'm pretty sure none of y'all are acupuncturists, but that's pretty cool. But yeah, so talk about different meditation techniques in this one. This is kind of a funny little graphic here. Also, here in a second, we'll get to some of you guys' questions. So if you have any questions at all about herbs or anything else, feel free to start firing away with your questions, and we'll get into question and answer mode in just a second here. So yeah. But yeah, so this is a really cool one. This meditation article, again, for any of your friends or family who might want to, a little primer. There's multiple different embedded videos showing you how to meditate in different styles. Talk about the science of meditation. And then breath work. This is a really cool one too. This breath work one I did a while back. Just 10 minutes of breath work. I mean, right now, I'm a little frazzled right now. If I had done 10 minutes of breath work before I started this transmission, I would probably be slightly more zen, to be honest. But I was frazzled. I had to eat really fast. I was behind, and then I had equipment failure at the end. So, doing my best here. But yeah, so breath work is awesome, though. I got to say, guys, like, it's a really big deal. Even just one deep breath can really change your whole perspective. So there's some cool breathing exercises in here. of course, my more recent one, The Matrix Has Many Levels. This is a favorite. I always love writing these more deeply philosophical type pieces, you know? And yeah, this one's awesome. Of course, we already went through that, so I won't go through too much here. But basic idea is that the Matrix has many levels. We're all at different levels, and it's best to be as compassionate as you can to those who perhaps maybe are a bit more asleep, and to not judge. And then this is a really fun one. Why you need to be a player. I had a lot of fun with this one. I like the graphic too. Why you need to be a player. Obviously, the title is not what it seems, but this one is all about playfulness. The debt we owe to the play of imagination is incalculable. Carl Jung. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. George Bernard Shaw. And finally, work consists of whatever a body is obliged to do. Play consists of whatever a body is not obliged to do. But yeah, so this is a fun one. Playfulness, very important. It's good to maintain a light heart. So I would just recommend, as things continue to get heavier in 2022, hopefully World War III is not starting, I don't know, but either way, I would say, I would recommend that just do your best to keep a light heart. Remember to be playful. Remember to have fun. Even if you don't want to read this new blog, though, I got to say, guys, there's this awesome comedian named Tyler Fisher. And it's embedded at the very end of the blog because I was talking about playfulness and keeping a light heart right here, right? But watch this video. This guy right here on the left, Tyler Fisher, he is our new, he's one of our new CHOQ affiliates. And this video has blown up. It's gotten hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views. And Jordan Peterson actually watched it. He and this other guy both do these awesome Jordan Peterson impressions. And so Jordan Peterson actually saw it and then tweeted about it, which is pretty cool. But Tyler actually does a CHOQ commercial for us. And you know what? I'm going to actually just, I'm going to link here in the chat. You guys should definitely watch this one. Definitely, definitely. And let me link here to their most recent blog. And you know what? I'm going to link to one more thing here. Let's see here. So this Tyler Fisher guy does an awesome Fauci impersonation. And he actually does a commercial for CHOQ. Okay, this last one I posted right here. Fauci impersonation. He actually does a commercial for CHOQ as Fauci. And it is freaking hilarious. Definitely watch that last one. Highly, highly recommend watch that last one. He's like, you know, there are droplets in the air that have chemicals that can affect your hormones. And that's why I like to take CHOQ. It's hilarious. Anyway, this guy's awesome. Tyler Fisher, he is a rising star, and yeah, he's a CHOQ affiliate. So very proud to be working with that guy. Extremely talented. Also check out his Instagram too, if you can. Let's just go here. Tyler Fisher. I'll show you guys his Instagram. So, bing, bang, boom. Here we go. Yeah. So Tyler Fisher, pretty funny. This is a funny one right here. Yeah, good times. And yeah, so here we go right here. So Jordan Peterson tweeted out the video that he did, and then yeah, this is actually yeah, here I'll just show you. I think I can show this here.
To loosen up the vein for the second dose, so the NRA can get comfortable from the third shot.
So I won't show all of that. I also don't want YouTube to get weirded out because certain topics, you know. So, but I will say definitely check out Tyler Fisher. Give him a follow. This guy's awesome. He also did. He actually was at the mandate rally.
I'm so grateful y'all came.
So yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the Defeat the Mandate rally that was a couple weeks ago in front of the Lincoln Memorial. And Tyler actually did a little bit there, a few minutes of comedy. This guy is awesome, and you know what? He has the courage to actually talk about things that a lot of comedians won't, so I have huge respect for Fisher. This guy is amazing. So highly, highly recommended. All right. So, okay. What do we got here? Let's see if we got any questions. What's going on? Here, let's just make me full size. How about that? All right. Wow, my face looks very red. Gotta fix that lighting at some point. Sorry if I'm still a little on the amateur level with this software here. I'm still learning, guys. All right, let's see, what do we got? Somebody says, you were saying before eggs have so many hormones they can throw ours off. Are there more hormones in the yolk or the whites? Chocolala, I honestly do not know. My guess would be in the yolks. I honestly would say that your best bet is to avoid eggs completely. I know that they are, they have a lot of great nutrients in them, right? And so on paper, eggs certainly look great, but I really cannot recommend them for at least most people. It depends on the individual, of course, but yeah, especially if you're looking for hormone health, do not recommend. And also, they are food for pathogens. So yeah, I'd say just avoid them completely if I were you, or have them on a very, very rare occasional basis. Is my recommendations. All right. All right. So JJ, unfortunately, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but that is a medical question that you asked me, JJ. So unfortunately, I cannot comment on any of that. That is not legal for me to talk about. Diani, which one is better, NAC or Apex glutathione? I already have NAC, so I'm wondering. So yeah, Diani, they're actually very different. Apex glutathione is like an entire system, right? So Apex is 12 ingredients, and it's working to greatly enhance your body's ability to create glutathione. Of course, there's a preformed glutathione in there, right? And also working on different glutathione enzymes. So it's going to be more potent than just taking a little bit of NAC, definitely. But what's important to know is, and of course, Apex glutathione also contains herbs that have all sorts of other properties that they can help with your brain function, cognitive function, mood, focus, serotonin, all that, right? So, but NAC is just a cheap and easy way to help to increase glutathione synthesis in your body. Certainly, I like to take both. I take Apex glutathione, and then I also take NAC in addition to it. And if at some point NAC goes back on the market, or where it's not goes back on the market, but if it becomes clear that it's not going to be eliminated completely, maybe we'll start selling some NAC on the side so you can do both. Yeah. All right. Danny B says, does Action 2.0 have any considerable amount of vitamin C? Danny, the answer is no. No, it does not. Yeah, but it would be cool to sell some vitamin C at some point. So that's certainly something that I think would be not a bad idea at all. Yeah. All right. What else we got here? Danny says Russell Brand is a Freemason. Well, Russell Brand's doing a pretty good job of exposing the powers that be if he's a Freemason. Danny, I have to say, everybody's welcome to their own opinion, but based on what I've seen of Russell Brand, I think he's probably one of the most trustworthy folks on the internet right now. If you actually listen to what he's talking about, people have this whole weird thing where they just love accusing people of being, they're like, oh, he's controlled opposition. It's like, okay, where's the evidence? But no, I highly doubt that. I think he's doing fantastic work. And also, you can use your own intuition, your own discernment to really tap in when you're watching different people and say, like, do they, are they on the level or not? You can just use your own discernment, but there's always going to be millions of rumors about all sorts of folks. But yeah, no, I absolutely do not buy that Russell Brand is controlled opposition. I think he's legit. And I'm pretty sure you could never convince me on that one. All right. Let's see. And what else we got here? See if there's anything I missed from before. What do we got? All right. Hugo's saying something about 80 off. Hugo, I'm very sorry. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I would just email CHOQTOR.com and see if they can get that sorted out. But unfortunately, I am not familiar with that particular promotion, and I don't have any comments on that. But certainly, our customer service folks can help you out. Chocolala is asking about probiotics. Probiotics they're pretty cool. I honestly think they're kind of overrated. They do have their place. My stance on probiotics is that, you know, they're not as necessary as people think, but they can be helpful on occasion. I don't take probiotics regularly. I really don't. I am a big fan of natural prebiotics in the form of just getting lots of organic, fresh fruits and vegetables in your diet and feeding the good bacteria, right? And then, of course, also the kinds of foods you eat can also determine what's going on in your microbiome as well. So excessive amounts of meat, not that not that everybody has to be vegan, but excessive amounts of meat are associated with not an optimal microbiome per se. And of course, glyphosate. We know that glyphosate was patented as an antibiotic, that glyphosate can destroy wide ranges of bacteria. And so eating organic, if you're worried about your microbiome and you want to have a good balance in terms of the gut microbes, that's super, super important. The limiting as much as possible pesticides coming into your gut, which of course is more expensive, right, to eat all organic, but you can also use, for anybody who doesn't know, the Dirty Dozen Clean 15 list from EWG. Very, very important for that. Yeah. But Chocolate, to answer your question, it wouldn't surprise me if we came out with a probiotic at some point, for sure. They certainly can be helpful. I'm not perhaps as passionate about probiotics as some, but if I did formulate a probiotic, it would be a lot of fun to try to see how we could innovate. And personally, if I was going to come out with a probiotic formula, it would not just be probiotics. We would also put herbs in there to boost digestion. So I would probably end up putting some like a triphala blend, with your amla and the other two herbs in triphala, which I can't remember off the top of my head. Ginger, perhaps turmeric, maybe some dandelion, some digestive bitters, some cholagogic herbs rather, meaning that they enhance gallbladder secretion into the small intestine, which then helps you digest fats and helps move the bowels and all that, moves things along. So I would like to do, if Chalk had something like that, it would be probiotics plus digestive system boosting herbs. That would be a really cool product. So yeah, something like that would be fun. And always, guys, feel free to give me feedback on what you think would be a good product, what you'd like to see us come out with. Okay, what is next? All right. Does any chalk product contain zinc or iron? Diani, to answer your question, the only product that contains any appreciable amount of iron is actually going to be here, let me see if I have the bottle here. Irish moss. Yeah, so we actually did labs on the most recent batch, and they did come back fairly high in iron. So yes. Zinc, nothing we're going to have is going to have a huge amount of zinc. Cacao beans will have a little bit of zinc and a little bit of iron, but I'm not going to say significant amounts, but some. So you'll get some zinc and some iron in cacao beans, but significant amount actually in the Irish moss, making it also a great supplement for women. Obviously premenopausal women, right? Women who still need iron, or need a bit more. Everybody needs iron, but need a bit more because they have regular iron loss. So I'm sure most of y'all know, but just as a quick refresher, for females, it's premenopausal, who require extra iron. Postmenopausal still require it, but much less so, obviously. And Sam says, will Chalk come out with a multivitamin? It certainly is possible. I would really like to do that only if we could make it innovative. It would probably be fairly expensive because I'd want to use the absolute best of the best ingredients. But some of our products are just like that. Like Apex is really expensive, but it's absolutely worth what we charge for it because it's a bunch of products in one. You would usually have to take 3 or 4 products to get what's in Apex, and there's a lot of cheap, crappy multivitamins out there, and I just hope that, I would love to make a multivitamin for Chalk, and I'll definitely at some point bring that up with a team and see what happens. But it'd be a really awesome one. It would obviously have some adaptogens in there, and so it'd be a lot of fun. Let's see here. All right. Can you talk about awakening or activating dormant DNA, Danny? Interesting question. So, yeah, I mean, like, what you hear from a lot of different, spiritual teachers and things like that is that there are dormant sections of our DNA that are being activated as we awaken, right? And of course, on a purely scientific level, like, who knows if that's true or not, But when I hear that intuitively, I'm inclined to say, that sounds right to me, So I always try to do my best to differentiate between what has like some scientific evidence behind it and what is like, more in the spiritual intuitive domains. But the spiritual intuitive domain is totally cool, obviously. I have nothing against that, and I'm happy to, speculate and go into that realm because I also live in that realm as well, But, I don't know how much I could say. I can say that there's this concept of junk DNA that maybe y'all have heard of. I don't know if you're familiar with junk DNA, but a long time ago, when they started to look into the human genome, they found that a huge percentage of the genes, I think it's over 90%, supposedly were junk DNA, right? Because there was no actual appreciable code in them that corresponded to anything real in the body, any sort of actual protein or anything like that. And so it's very possible that is perhaps, it's like the equivalent of like dark matter, right? It's like, does dark matter even exist? You know what I mean? Like, dark matter is this stuff that physicists have assumed has to exist because they can see the gravitational effects of it, but they can't actually detect it directly. So it's like something weird's going on. There's something putting off gravity waves, but we can't actually see it. So the reason they're similar, I think, is because it's sort of like, in a sense, it's admitting like our current model can't handle this, and so it's trying to explain it in a way that's not totally coherent. So I think that maybe what's going on in some of that junk DNA is that it's something that science has yet to penetrate into, and perhaps some of these genes, gene codes, whatever, that some of these spiritual teachers are talking about, maybe they reside in that area called junk DNA, or perhaps I think I've also heard, again, this is getting pretty out there, but also heard people say that some of these genes actually exist in a different dimension, right? And we've talked about the DNA phantom experiment before. DNA phantom effect. DNA phantom effect. So that's another interesting one, right? So I'm trying to think about how I can say this in a way that's actually like not too long-winded and fairly succinct, but long story short, there were some experiments done a long time ago in Russia, interestingly enough, right? And where they showed that DNA can penetrate into another level of reality and can create a sort of a residue that can be measured using lasers. Where you could put DNA into a machine, you could take the DNA out, and then you could shine a laser through the space where the DNA was, and it can actually pick up on a residue, like an etheric residue. The DNA is interacting with the quantum ether, the what do they call it? The space-time substructure was the really awesome term, right? What a great term, space-time substructure. So anyway, yeah. And Hugo, I'm sorry, I don't know why you're asking about this, but no, Hugo, I can't help you with that, with the coupons. That's not really my department, but please email CHOQTOR.com for help with that. But anyway, so yeah, but the DNA thing I think is really interesting, and I would highly recommend just consulting your intuition on this kind of stuff. With this sort of thing, it's hard to know what's real and what's not. But intuition's very important, and I'll give you an example. I want to go on a little tangent here. Are you ever like on YouTube and you're just like looking at different spiritual teachers' information, and you're listening to what they're saying, and you're looking at their faces as they're talking, and sometimes you're like, yeah, this dude's on point, or like, this lady is awesome. Like, you're just like, they're tapped into something, I really like it. But then all of a sudden they'll say some other stuff, and you're like, something about this doesn't quite feel right. Like, I feel like there's something off here, I had that experience with this guy named Shunya Murti. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's got a lot of material all of a sudden on YouTube that just came out of nowhere, just mushroomed up out of nowhere. But YouTube is like, I guess he just started putting out a whole bunch. And he seems like a really interesting teacher. He's got some sort of a Sat Yoga Institute place in maybe Hawaii or something. Anyway, he's obviously very learned. He knows about, science and physics and politics and psychology and philosophy and all the different spiritual traditions. He's kind of a scholar on top of being a spiritual teacher. And a lot of what he says sounds really on point. But then there's certain things he says that sound really off to me. I was like, there's something weird about this dude. And if you like this guy, take this with a grain of salt, consult your own intuition. So you don't have to agree with me. But I was like, there's certain things he's saying where I'm just getting a vibe like, this guy is not as on the level as I thought he was. And then I did a little bit of research and I found that there's like a bunch of people accusing him of having a very weird cult-like thing going on and doing some very uncool stuff. And of course, maybe those accusations aren't true. You never know. People could try to take somebody down and make up a bunch of stuff about him. So, I'm not saying that they're true, but I did a little investigation. I was like, yeah, I was picking up on something in this guy's energy that wasn't quite right. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, right? I will say also on a side note, the old paradigm of spirituality is all about like destroying the ego. That's garbage. That's total garbage. That's not the way you want to go. That's like the equivalent of like having like a flip phone in terms of spiritual traditions. This idea of eradicating the ego and demonizing the ego and all that, it's an outdated paradigm. It's being phased out. Spiritual teachers who are more advanced, in my opinion, like Matt Kahn, for example, they're the ones who are really on the level, who are like, no, it's not about that. Obviously, we all need an ego to be oriented in time and space. It's just about, making it maybe not the master anymore, making the soul the master and the ego to be the servant of the soul. But it's not about trying to destroy some part of yourself. That language of destroying the ego is just really, it's a really bad vibe, actually. It's super outdated, and I think it's being phased out, I believe. Some of these older texts, like A Course in Miracles, for example, a lot of great wisdom in it, but completely outdated. Completely outdated. And I'm saying that as a fan of somebody who I thought, who was deeply into it, but very, very outdated. Again, it's like, from a spiritual philosophy perspective, it's kind of like, it's kind of like the equivalent of having like a dial-up modem. They were great at the time, but a lot of these older spiritual teachings, I think, are showing their age now. And the new paradigm is a little bit more psychologically aware in the sense of it's a little bit more about like loving the damaged parts of yourself, going within and kind of like doing your best to acknowledge those, and just being like self-compassion, just kindness, and less about like the like hyper masculine approach of like you must destroy the ego, right? It's kind of like a samurai like hyper masculine approach. A newer approach, again, that you see through people like Matt Kahn, is a little bit gentler, a little bit more almost sort of like divine feminine oriented. So, but that's a fun little tangent right there. All right, so let's see here. Okay, DNA phantom effect, Shunya Murdy. What else we got here? Oh yeah. All right. Can you talk about ways to lower blood sugar? Coconut oil help. Chocolala. So I'll just say real quick, for healthy, to support healthy blood sugar levels already in the normal range, which is my legally approved way of talking about that, some nutrients that you might want to look into, alpha lipoic acid, magnesium, chromium, omega-3 fatty acids in the form specifically of algae and never ever fish oil, very important, berberine, various different adaptogens can be supportive of that, especially if stress is a factor, because stress and blood sugar are connected. So different adaptogens can be supportive in that area. For example, ashwagandha, excellent for that. There is some research on ashwagandha showing that it supports healthy blood sugar levels. Anything that works in the mitochondria can do that as well. So, maybe astragalus could be helpful in that area. Shilajit could be helpful in that area. CoQ10, as regular CoQ10 or ubiquinol. Various different minerals are important for that. All of your B vitamins are critical for blood sugar or for metabolism in general, but especially B1 is an important one for sure. That one's at the top of the list for that purpose. And anything I left out, let's see here. Neem, actually, the company who puts out our Shilajit and our Sensoril, they're actually working on a very powerful neem extract. Neem is an Ayurvedic herb, and that one's going to be great for blood sugar support as well. So yeah. All right, so I think it's time to give some stuff away and to start to finish up here. So yeah, let's bust out the old timer and the random number generator. And you know what? I'm gonna do something crazy today. I'm gonna give out a little bit more than I usually do because it's been 2 weeks since I've done anything like this. So, yes, what do we got here? All right. Okay, timer. Okay, so the timer has begun. Get your 2-digit number in for our first of 2 giveaways. Let me just fade this music back in here. Let's see how this music goes here. Yeah. And remember, guys, just 1 entry, a 2-digit number, anything between 1 and 100. So I guess technically it could be a 1, a 2, or a 3-digit number, but anything that's between 1 and 100. And I'm going to give away an immunity bundle for this first one. That's right. So this first one is going to be, let's take a look at the bundle here. This is for an immunity bundle. Yes. Here we go. Bam. Prize number 1, which is a bottle of Apex, a bottle of Armor, and a bottle of 7 Wonders. So good luck to whoever is feeling lucky and whoever's not feeling lucky. You guys all, let me give you some good luck waves here. And all right, bam. So, okay, done. And who was the winner? The number was 64. Who's closest to 64? Aswana has 66. Oh, that's right. Sorry, I forgot about the the delay there. But yeah, so it does look like Aswana, I believe, is the winner. Yeah. Aswana wins. Aswana, you just won an immunity bundle. Congratulations. Unless am I wrong? Yeah, no, it definitely Aswana. You had 66 and that was 64. All right. And what is the next prize going to be for? All right, the next prize is going to be for a male or female vitality stack. That's right. So you will have your choice. This is going to be one of our grand prizes, since we haven't given away any prizes in a while. Yeah. That's the deal right there. So, one more time here. Alrighty, here we go. Alright, who's feeling lucky? Yeah, I'm realizing that there is quite a delay on here, so I do apologize for that. I will let the delay catch up this time. Because, yeah, it's about a 30-second delay now. I'm hoping to get that down by tweaking this software. So, yes. But, there we go. So I'll give you all a little bit more time. And let's see. Let's generate a new one. New number is 49. let that propagate out for a second. Just a little bit. And we shall see, we shall see. All right. Let's see here. What have we got? Okay. So, let's call it done now. 49. Who is close to 49? Let's see, Dom has 44. Chocolala has 50. Oh my goodness. Chocolala, I do believe you are the winner. Wow. Great job. Yep. Chocolala, you won because the number was 49. So there we go. Very, very cool. That's amazing. Chocolala, you win either a male or female Super Vitality Stack. Or, sorry, Vitality Stack Ultra. So let me just record that so I don't forget. Vitality Ultra Stack. Nice. That's really cool. Good for you. Good for you, Chocolala. Very, very awesome. Well, you know, guys, I think that means that it's officially time. So pull the music back up again, and I'm going to go ahead and say good evening to you guys. Hope you have an excellent Friday. I will see y'all in the near future. We'll put you down for female vitality stack, Chocolala. I'll let the girls know that you won one, and we'll get that on its way to you shortly. But yeah, you guys are awesome. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I will see y'all in the near future. Make sure to check out that vlog if you get a chance. Don't forget about this guy right here. Tune out and wake up. Oh, and by the way, we do have some other fun ones here. We've got a new series called Tales of the T. A little snippet on testosterone. Just before I go. And we also do have a new cringe report here on people getting microchipped for fun. It's a fun little video down here, so you might want to check this out. But yes, I'm going to head out, guys. Much love. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all the regulars. Nikki, Chocolala, Danny, Sam, Rafa, JJ, Iswana, all you guys. Thank you for being here. Skylar, much love to you guys. And